Here we go then for the 24-25 season. First chat with Phil Brown. Hello, Phil. How are you?
I'm good, Wes. I'm good. I'm sort of 2 days away from the biggest day of my life, and
Oh, no. Oh,
I've really enjoyed the last 5, 6 weeks with the lads. I really have.
okay, brilliant stuff. So you've ruined my first question, Phil, by the way, which went
Oh,
like this.
never.
No, it went like this. Have you chosen your captain, and why is it Amari Morgan Smith?
It's fair comment. Yes, I have chosen my captain, and
Yep.
It's took more than 5 or 6 weeks. I've been working closely with first and foremost the players that we kept
Yep.
from last season. I thought certain players, you've got to say it, that were wearing their heart on their sleeve,
Yeah.
game in, game out, and wearing the badge with pride. The crowd favourites to a certain extent, but that didn't affect me
No.
my decision making process. I knew I was going to bring some leaders in. I knew we lacked, obviously, when Shane Byrne decided to move on, and he went a little bit personal with the low ball offer that we gave him, but it was as much as I could afford, and that's all I can say about it. Really,
Yeah.
I don't bear grudges. I'd like to have kept Shane, but I didn't keep Shane. So, bottom line is I had a good group that were left behind, if you like. I was absolutely delighted when we re-signed Amari. I was absolutely delighted when we re-signed Ashley Hemmings. Same with Alex Penny. Reece McAnally, Dibble was priceless. Re-signing Dibs. The amount of clean sheets he had last year. But Callum Richards staying at the football club, Zach Brown staying at the football. All of these things were real positives, and then all of a sudden we started bringing in one or two players, and the players that were at the football club already were looking at the quality that we were bringing in. We were bringing footballers in, and they were slowly but surely starting to understand and believe that the way we played last year in the last 18 games was the do or die situation. It was last chance saloon. And I don't subscribe to last chance saloon kind of football, not from the start of the season. Sometimes you have to switch to it during the game. Yeah. Sometimes you have to switch to it needs must. We haven't got the strongest team out from a technical point of view, so we'll just go physical. You've got to be able to cut your cloth accordingly. And when we kept these players and then amalgamated the new breed, as in, Luke Summerfield, good signing. Yeah. David Davies, good signing. Yeah. You're talking about real strong exponents of the beautiful game, but also the tough game if necessary, but league footballers. Yeah. You had all of these things that were sort of becoming an eclectic mix of people who had different backgrounds, different thought processes about how we were going to play. But they were on side with everything I was trying to do, or shall I say, we were trying to do. Neil McDonald, obviously, re-signing was a big one for me. And then we got Malik Carrigan and Maz Kuya, and I was thinking, oh dear me, you see them on the training ground every day, and you go, wow, these guys can play at a higher level. These guys can play the beautiful game, but we're fortunate to have them because of the stage of their career. That's the way football is. I'm still looking for a striker, and I'm hopefully going to bring one in tomorrow, the day before the season starts.
Nice.
So all of that was sort of coming together nicely, and then made about 5-6 captains in the first 3 games. One in the first half, one in the second half.
Yeah.
And then I got to about 10 or 12 in the 6 or 7 preseason friendlies. And then I thought I better come clean with the players and let them know who I honestly had me down for club captain when Shane left. But I was really getting confused because the new players coming in were bringing genuine quality and honesty and leadership, and all of this was going on. Long story short, I had the thought process when I was back at Bolton Wanderers and I couldn't tell you what year it was. It might have been 88, 89. Yeah. We had a similar kind of group, where Phil Neal was manager, Mick Brown was assistant manager. I remember Ron Atkinson's assistant at Man United. So they had a wealth of experience. And we didn't have a captain. We had lost our captain, who retired from the game, and we didn't have a captain. And I came into the changing room having been captain at Halifax for 3 years. Yep. And another 2 years on top of that at Hartlepool United. So I was a young captain at 23, 24. And I came into this changing room and we had big, strong, quality players, who had a wealth of experience at a higher level. And eventually, Phil Neal had the same problem. He had 6 or 7 possible captains, and I didn't get it. Mark came, got the captaincy, and rightly so. He was a proper leader. You know, he's a number 5 who wore his heart on his sleeve, put his head in everywhere, really committed to the cause, and he got the captaincy. And I'm out of it. I take a back seat. Doesn't matter what you want from me. You're going to get the same Phil Brown voice, as it were, or Phil Brown quality. So with that in mind, I sat back. In the second game, Trevor Benjamin, who I'm not blaming for this, but we played Chester in the FA Cup. Or sorry, it would have been the Carling Cup or something like that at the time.
Yeah.
That was always the first couple of fixtures. League fixture, then back-to-back games in the Carling Cup. And he broke his leg. He broke Camey's leg, and it was a horrendous smash. And there was our captain in the first half. Polak's gone off on a stretcher. And at half time, we'd come into Phil Neal and McBrown talking and this, that, and the other. And literally, you know, there were 5-minute half times in them days. Yeah. Literally, after 5 minutes, the bell went, and I stood up and went, so who's taking the team out? Mick Brown, not Phil Neal. Mick Brown said, "You're the big mouth, you take the team out." And seriously, from that moment, I became club captain. Yeah. And I never lost the title for 7 years.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Phil, you alluded then about starting a striker tomorrow, which is very exciting for me, but we'll talk about that later, if that's okay. I've got a question from one of the fans from John. He says, what are your favourite things about Kidderminster so far? Have you been to the Museum of Carpets?
No, I haven't. Quite interestingly, I haven't been there yet, but I've been to a couple of venues, and I've been to a couple of hotels where I've been staying overnight. I've been to a couple of golf courses, meeting a lot of people. I love going into town centre. The day that we went out and promoted the season tickets, I ended up in Morrison's, and I had 4 or 5 of the players with me. I had a great day. Yeah. You meet genuine people, you know. I always joke with my brother-in-law and say this is real football at this level. Don't get me wrong, I'm not slagging the Premier League off or the AFL or anybody. I'm just saying this is proper people, proper football, where you're going to stand on the terraces, and if you've had a bad day at the office or a bad day at work, you're going to come to the football club and give me some. That ain't a problem. But that's the way the world is, you know. Yeah. And you hear every comment and passing comment and this, that, and the other. I can't help but influence you. But I love it. I always, strange enough, one of the contenders for our title next year, along with ourselves, is South Shields, and I was born and bred in South Shields, which is a big game for me now. Never been back. I've been back to South Shields many times.
Have you got family? Have you got family up there?
Yeah, my sister still lives up there. My son lives up there. We're going to Darlington on Saturday. I want 12 tickets at the moment, and it's going to get bigger. But when we go to Shields, it'll be 2,000. It won't be 12 tickets. It'll be, you know, everybody, every mate that I used to have and still have, in contact, I'll want a couple of thousand tickets.
Phil, are you saying your sister's going to put a mighty spread on for the Harriers fans when we get up there?
But she lives on the I was going to say the Thames there. She lives on the Tyne. Yeah. And it's a beautiful place. I mean, it's a listed cottage that she's got, and I'm really envious of her. Yeah. Of the window that she looks out of on a daily basis. But that's only because I fell in love with the big river, you know, back to the Jimmy Nail days.
Oh, crocodile shoes. I love it.
And having worked on the Tyne, worked on the Tyne, you know, I lived well, it was heaven. And it was on the Tyne, and I used to, you know, when you work there, you fall in love with the river. Then you find yourself moving around, and ended up in Manchester, and you get to know about the canals there and this, that, and the other. When it comes to water, you name it, I've lived on it. You know, I've lived on the Thames. Yeah. I'm still on the Thames in the Oxfordshire region now. I'm still on the Thames. And then you come and you go into Bewdley and you see the Severn. And I just love rivers. I love big rivers. It's normally a sign that the people are grounded, you know. It's normally a sign that they belong. They follow the river. And it's always a nice, picturesque sort of, can I have a beer on a Friday night on the banks of the Severn now? So I'm looking at Bewdley as one of my haunts in the future.
Yeah, you can do Starport as well.
Starport, yeah.
Yeah, Phil. This is a question from another fan, from Adam. He says, from 1 to 10, with 10 being the perfect squad for tackling the season ahead and getting back to the National League, where do you believe we are Saturday, and what do you think would be required to bridge the gap, if there is a gap?
No, I think we're close to 10 in my building of a team. Yeah. My building of a, shall we say, I'm going to say rebuilding of a team, because I came here 3 months before the end of the season, as you well know, and having gone down, I felt responsible. Whether people believe that or not, listen, I'm responsible. So that was part and parcel of me. In the 2-year deal with the chairman, gratefully offered me a contract at Kidderminster. Yes, there was snips here, there, and everywhere, and I was doing radio, and BBC were offering me deals and blah blah blah. But I always want to get my teeth into a project, and it was a proper project. It was like chairman's cut me wage bill down and cut me budget down, but it was manageable. It was manageable as far as I was concerned. The way I was trying to deal with it was, well, if I get this out and bring this one in, and get that one out and bring this one in, and then next thing you know, it's all encompassing. Encompassing of pretty much travel and food, and you manage the whole football club in terms of your finances. I love that part. I think it's brilliant. It gets you back to the real world. Having been in the Premier League, you've got loads of people that handle these kind of things. You've got accountants and this and that. I like to give me a chunk of money, let me handle it, and that's the way I deal with people. I think it's part and parcel of life. So when we got rid of sort of 9 and 10 players, and there's some real stalwarts of the club, Chief, if you go back to Christian Pearce, it disappointed me that he didn't want to become a coach, but I was offering him it was a poor deal from the fact that he was going to become a coach and a player. And a lot of times, and I'm going back to my story, when Sam Allardyce offered me a coach and a player, I thought, oh well, that's double wages. Whoa, far from it. Absolutely far from it. He gives you an opportunity to get a foothold on the ladder of life and the ladder of the coaching ladder, as it were. And I did the same with Chief, and Chief was like, I'm not retiring. I'm 34. I'm 35. At the time, I understood. I was 37, 38 when I was getting offered it, but he was 34, 35. He thought he had a little bit to give, if not more than a little bit, and I agreed with him. So when Chief left, it disappointed me. When the skipper left, it disappointed me. When there's 3 or 4 that left, and I thought, give us some more, next year. And they had the club under their skin, and that's what happens at Kiddie. I think Kiddie fans and the supporters and the way the club's run, it gets under your skin very quickly. It really gets to you, and it's great to be surrounded by all these massive clubs. You're talking about the big boys, massive clubs. We're flying a flag, we're saying, whoa, we're going to be there one day, And the way football is, it's quite strange, isn't it?
Yes, it is, very much so.
We're playing Darlington. 1979 was a big derby match, Hartlepool, Darlington.
Yeah.
And that was a big club at the time. David Speedy was playing up front for them. The kid played for Scotland. He played for Chelsea. They had, I think he had another striker alongside him that made it big as well. Anyway, long story short, Darlington were a big club. And we used to have to go there as a local derby match, and it was put the tin helmets on, and you had to battle for everything you got at Darlington. And I think they lost that identity. 15, 20 years they've been in the wilderness, and now the go of it. Steve Watson's going to do a great job by the looks of it, but we're the thorn in the side, hopefully, on the first day of the season.
Right, okay. So this is a question I caught up with because I wanted to know the answer to it. So, Phil, at the end of the season, so the end of last season, do you get contacted from players without clubs? Was JJ Okocha one of them? And when will he be unveiled? Is that going to be Saturday, or what are we saying?
Dear. JJ, honestly, even now, I would sign him. I really would. No, he's an old man now. He's and don't get me wrong, I'm an old man, but at the same time, I still get excited by when even anybody says JJ Okocha. Dear me, what a great player! And the best thing about JJ was his smile. Everybody can talk about his football prowess, but I'm at Bolton one in my second job. Blackpool was my first one. Second job with Sam, and we're signing somebody from PSG who is a world rank player of the highest level. And I'm like, how are we doing this, by the way? How am I walking on the training ground with this fella? And by the way, he could play. He could do anything with the football. I'm not trying to teach, because if you ask me to demonstrate something that JJ did, I'd be falling over the thing. It'd be all over the place. But there's some modern day players now are futsal, they're driven by futsal, and they're into the street kind of football, you know. And
Yeah.
JJ was a street footballer. He was a street footballer in back in Nigeria, and then he moved to Germany, he moved to Turkey, he moved to France, and then he came to England. He probably came to England a little bit late, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But if you got JJ at the peak of his powers, we wouldn't have been able to afford him at Bolton Wanderers. But we got him at the end of his career, 32, and we managed to keep him going till 35. And then I took him to Hull City, 36, 37. I tell you, Wes, the first press conference, I know you're doing a podcast, you're getting into that kind of thing.
Yeah.
The first press conference, I'm trying to explain to Brian Horton and Steve Parkin, who were my assistant manager and first team coach, and they had more experience than I ever had at that moment.
Yeah.
And I'm explaining to these guys, they're saying, why are we signing a 36-year-old who's done? He's past it. He's over the hill. And I'm saying, come to the press conference and I'll tell you the reason why. So they came to the press conference, both of them walked in, and the world's media were in this room. There was
brilliant.
44 film crews.
Wow.
And I'm going, you talk about promoting a football club? You're talking about Hull City were on the map that day. And it didn't matter if JJ played one or two games.
Yeah.
We were on the map because the world wanted to know what JJ Okocha was doing in Hull City.
It
was just genius at the time that we actually did same. He didn't play any part in the final. If you look at the footage of me on the touchline when we beat Bristol City and got promoted to the Premier League, I'm on the touchline. We managed to win the game 1-0. I get swamped by Brian Horton and Steve Parkin. And I look back on the bench and there was two suited and booted footballers, Henrik Pedersen and JJ Okocha. And they hadn't played, they played 25, 30% of the games that season. But we had such a strong strength in depth.
Yeah.
That moment just went, ooh, I couldn't take them to the Premier League because it was just a step too far then, you know. So started rebuilding again.
There you go. Phil, we've got to move on because I've got 7 questions left and we haven't got much time. Okay, so here we go.
What monosyllabic answers?
Yeah, you probably upset most of the female Harriers fans, maybe some of the guys as well, when you were riding on the back of Captain Invincible, Amari Morgan-Smith. Now, do you know this in training? He's a strong fella, isn't he? He
is a strong fella. We didn't finish the captain story, by the way, and I just gave him because he just emulates that kind of character that's required. So I'm absolutely delighted. 2 seconds, I've just gone off now.
Sorry, pal. Oh, you gone. Can't hear you. Are you back?
Are you back?
Yeah, you're back. Well
done. Sorry.
That's all right, pal.
Yeah. Amari, that was Dean Allsworth, by the way. Amari Morgan-Smith got the captaincy because I think, first and foremost, I think it'll help him. People think it'll put more weight on the shoulders and the pressure and this, that, and the other. I think that'll take the balance of being a captain and leader. It'll just balance against the amount of goals he might score next year. Let's see. It'll be a project that I'm really desperate for it to develop. But
the thing is,
it's just
he plays. I was going to say he plays like a captain anyway, with his enthusiasm and
absolutely. But the added bonus of sticking an armband on and the added pressure and stuff like that, he's not going to cower away from that.
He don't care.
He's going to embrace it. No, it's all he'll embrace
absolutely.
It. But I was disappointed for the others anyway. Decision made. Anyway, I jumped on his back. I just get I'm like a little boy on the training ground, and I just want to play.
Yeah.
And I just jumped on Amari's when last day mountain. I jumped on his back and he was riding around. He took me for a ride. He has done for the last 3 months. He's got to do it again.
There we go. Maybe that was the moment where you thought, you know what, he could probably be captain.
Absolutely.
Phil, now a player who consecutively gets 7 out of 10 in games, what would he be worth to the team, and do we have any?
I've got one just a little bit better than 7 out of 10. That's I think he's 7.58.
Caleb, did you say?
It's just Caleb Richards.
Yeah. Sure.
He's 7.58, and I think Brownie's not far behind him. You know, Brownie, I thought was relying heavily on Shane Byrne, but since Shane's moved on, Brownie's grasped the nettle. You know, he's really stepped up to the plate, and I think Luke Summerfield and Digger Davis will really help Brownie become a real mature central midfield player. But Caleb Richards, since I've been at the club, 18 games, played every one of them.
Yeah.
Disappointed, really disappointed. I was disappointed in the contract that that he had
Yeah.
a clause in it, and I thought I really was going to struggle to keep a hold of him.
Yeah.
But since then we signed Reece Devine on the back of that little clause in his contract. But he stayed. He's loyal. I'm delighted with the fact that he stayed. And now that we've got Reece Devine behind him, pushing him, I think we might be a 7.58 every week, because he's going to have to be. He's got competition now for his place, where he didn't have that last year. The only competition that he really had was change of system, and I could maybe play Ashley Hemmings in a wing back role or something like that, But there's one or two in the camp already.
Yeah.
I mean, Alex Penny's been away in America. And I really thought I was going to lose him. And when he re-signed, I thought, there's another stalwart of the club, somebody that's going to be a rock you can build your house on. He's a proper lad. He was at Hull City when he was 7-8 year old, and I didn't realise this. He was in the academy at Hull City whilst I was a manager. So we go back a long way, Alex. And there's some real characters at the football club that hopefully, we're going to get beat next year, but when we do get beat, there'll be a good response. There'll be a positive response. There'll be a one where that won't happen again. If we've let the players, their supporters down, that won't happen too many times next year. Let me tell you.
This is a fun question. Did you have any input into the kits, Phil? Because they look great and are available now before the first game of the season, which hasn't happened in forever.
I wasn't. No, I love them though. I love the kit. I really do. I'm loud and proud. I'm Larry when it comes down to numbers and colours and stuff like that. And I really like to put round pegs in round holes with the numbers. When I'm piecing together a jigsaw, and then Penny decides to stick the number 2, and I'm thinking number 5's available. Come on, But hey ho. And then Joe Fawkes takes the 12 in it. It'd be nice if I could go 1 to 11 on Saturday and then stick with 1 to 11 for a dozen games, but it doesn't happen with the squad system that we've got these days. But the strip, I think, looks magnificent. I think the sponsors have done brilliant. The sponsors will be delighted with it, I think. And certainly, I think, I've got to say it, I think the National League North will be delighted with it as well.
The red and white halves are Harriers through and through, Phil. I'm sure you know this by now.
Yeah.
But we've had the most success wearing that. Apart from a few seasons ago where Russ Penn was in charge and we got to, I think, the 4th round of the FA Cup. We played West Ham in this awful Kappa red training top. It was terrible, but we had one of the best seasons ever. So but it's nice we're wearing a decent shirt. Right.
It's got this white patch on the back of the red half, and at the front it looks halves, at the back it looks like quarters, and I'm thinking, what are we doing here? But I'm not a design technologist.
No, there you go. Now going back to the striker that you mentioned at the beginning. So there's been a lot of complaints about not signing a new striker. How hard has it been to sign a 20-goal a season striker, Phil?
It's been difficult. We had a couple in the bag, and we lost them. And don't get me wrong, I'm not one for bearing grudges. They came. It was very close. I was 95% close to signing this kid. And then it fell by the wayside on the last day, and Dino was as disappointed as what I was. I just go back on the training ground. Let's start with what you can only work with what you've got. But that Dean Holdsworth telephone call was confirmation that the lad will be on the training ground at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. So fingers crossed, he won't be playing in the first game, unfortunately. So you're getting hot off the press news. I've been working for 5 or 6 weeks, and the lad will understand this. I've been working for 5 or 6 weeks, and the club that has let him out on loan have been really sort of not heels, but they've been really meticulous in the way they've gone through the process, and it's been really long-winded and grinding. For the lad himself, I'm thinking I thought it was going to be done on Monday. If it was done on Monday, he might have been playing for sure, because I named the team on Tuesday, and we've been playing. We've been practicing with regards to Darlington, and then we've got a full week's preparation for Radcliffe Borough. So the lad turns up tomorrow at 9 o'clock. It's a bit remiss of me to, take one of the lads' shirts off them that have been working so hard for 5 or 6 weeks with us in the camp, and I've already named the team.
So you let a couple of strikers go, though, Phil. Did they not fit future plans, or were you saving on the budget, or a bit of both?
Bit of both. Not here to, slag anybody off. I'm not that way inclined. I wish everybody well when they do move on, but I didn't think there was room in the same camp, which was proven to a certain extent where Golda Matteo and Amari were concerned.
Yeah.
And I was an Amari supporter, the way he put himself about. He physically, for the size of him, plays to his size, whereas I don't think Gold did.
No.
And then consequently, he scored a couple of goals that I thought, if I can get more of them out of him, but they were almost perfect, and you don't score perfect goals week in and week out. You score horrible tap-ins at the 6-yard box, and you just put your body on the line, and then all of a sudden something goes off, off your backside, or somebody else gets the benefit of that, So, yeah, there was. Listen, I wanted to shuffle the pack. I wanted to not upset anybody, but in the process of letting players go, you always upset somebody.
Yeah. It was a little chap. I can't remember, went to Hereford and never came back. What was his name?
Yeah.
I can't remember. That's how much I can't remember his name now.
And it was one of them where, when players like that, certain things, he was trying to manipulate a move when I first arrived.
Yeah.
And I've been in the game long enough. I know when players are trying to manipulate a move,
Yeah.
and then when they're sitting in front of you, they're either talking straight to you or they're lying, one of the two.
Yeah.
And Kieran Phillips, we're talking about.
That was it.
And it was, and I'm sitting in front of this guy, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm hearing what you're saying, but you're not quite, selling the idea of staying at the football club and fighting for your place. You're not selling that idea. I was proved right, because we were playing a game the following day from that conversation. We were playing a game against Cheltenham behind closed doors before the transfer deadline closed.
Yeah.
And he was playing. It was organised that he was playing in that game.
Yeah.
And if it was good enough for me, he was staying at the football club. But I hadn't seen Kieran play.
No.
So I wanted to see him play. I said, so I'll bring you off by half time. It ain't a problem. Play the full game. And then if you want to get a move, bring somebody to the football club and let them see you play. He didn't even play in the game. He pulled out of the game, and he just said, Hereford have agreed to deal with the football club, agreed to take me wages over and this, that, and the other until the end of the season.
Yeah.
It was a no-brainer that he went then.
Yeah.
And then I watched him from afar. Watching him from afar, Wes, and watching him in a game where he's basically, I'm proving to you, I'm good enough for you. But he didn't.
No.
So he didn't at that moment. He lost me. He lost me my interest, and the rest history.
Makes sense. Right. So do you know Troy Deeney?
Yes.
Okay, so you'll love this, Phil. During the quiet time, we didn't sign anyone for ages and everyone was moaning. I got someone on the Harriers hotline, which is what this is for, to just drop a rumour in that we were signing Troy Deeney. Now, this spiraled out of control. And Hales Owen even mentioned it in the programme, in the friendly we had with them, saying Troy Deeney might be here today. So he basically lied. And to get everyone excited, because everyone was just moaning, and we were like, we'll just make a lie out of it. So if you know Troy, tell him, sorry, pal.
Sorry, pal. I was far from Hills Ford as part of the deal, and so I've got a sponsored car, and as I turn up to the factory where I'm picking the car up, the whole sales team were out and looking around for Troy Deeney. I think they were going to give him a car as well. And I'm saying, no, you got another car, give that to Macca, give it to Paul Biggerstaff, give it to who, so we've got 2 or 3 cars in the football club. But bottom line is,
thanks, Wes. Thanks, Wes, is the bottom line there, Phil.
100%. Nah, he was never at the football club of interest to me. If he wants to be a manager, that's fine. But if you want to come and finish your career somewhere and not get under the manager's skin or be a threat to the manager, I understand that. But he hadn't. He'd started the pathway of being a coach or a manager. He started that route now. So you accept what you are then.
Yeah.
I went into coaching. I accepted that. Listen, I'm going to be a threat to people. I went into management. You realise then that, hold on a second, you've got a threat to people. So people get worried about you. I wasn't worried about him. I was just... I was interested in where all this interest was coming from.
What, Troy Deeney?
And now I found out.
Thanks, Phil. But we were selling it like, no, he just wants to do his coaching badges. That's all. He just wants to come to Harriers, play a few games, do his coaching badges, and move off. And I thought that was pretty good. Anyway, we've only got 9 minutes left. What's your long-term aim? What's your long-term aim at Kidderminster Harriers? Would you consider your time a success if you established us as a National League side?
No. Got to get into the EFL. That's my ambition. So obviously we can't do it this year,
No.
but we can in 2 years. But I'm not getting ahead of myself. I'll cut my cloth accordingly. And what I mean by that is, come the end of the season, we'll take a view. Hopefully that view will be in the next division. But at the same time, I'm not for 1 minute thinking that it's going to be easy this year. We had this discussion this morning as a backroom staff, and we looked at the league table, and before balls kicked, this is before balls kicked, there must be 10, 11, 12 possible candidates for winning the title, let alone get promoted, you know. So with that in mind, it's going to be really competitive. There's not going to be any free games, but nothing new in football. You know, there's no free games, never has been. Even the pre-season friendlies, there's no free games. So they're always playing for something, and we will show to all the Kidderminster Harriers fans that we'll be playing for something every week. And if we're not, the players that are not playing for something every week won't be at the club. But yeah, the ambition is to be a football league club. And if it's by the end of my contract, all well and good.
Right. So, you know what you were saying at the beginning about Kidderminster Harriers getting under your skin? Yeah. Where would you say, being the manager of Harriers, rates in your long, illustrious career? Right now, where is it?
It's at the top, because that's what I am. It's at the top.
I think it was made for you, Phil. What do you reckon, this job?
Honestly, don't know. I turned South Shields down before, trying to think before which manager. Was it before? I can't think of.
Oh, what's his name?
I know. There's been
Kevin
2 or 3
Phillips.
managers.
Kevin Phillips.
No, it was after Kevin. It was Julio Arca.
Okay.
So anyway, I turned him down. I know the chairman quite well, and he's a Shields lad. In fact, he's my council estate where I was born is a place called Whiteleys.
Yeah.
And he was a Whiteleys lad as well. I didn't realise that. He's made his money out of utilities and he's ploughed it into South Shields. My word, what a job he's done. He's done fantastic. But South Shields was one of the first clubs I actually went to see as a supporter. They used to play at Simonside Hall, which was the adjacent council estate. So you had South Shields and you had Simonside. And Simonside Hall was an old-fashioned ground, but I went to see them play in a pre-season friendly against Newcastle United. So that goes back to, I must have been 10, if that.
Yeah.
It might have been earlier than that, you know, maybe early 60s, late 60s, not the early 60s. I wouldn't have been old enough. But all of that in mind, there's so many candidates that can win this league. I'm not for 1 minute underestimating anybody.
No.
I'll have an idea. This will be the first game of the season. I'll have an idea what that looks like. Then we'll have an idea of 2 home games where Radcliffe Borough's all of a sudden, if you look at the bet alone, Radcliffe Borough's in the top 6. Radcliffe Borough used to be a pre-season friendly when I was at Bolton Wanderers. So I know the clubs and I know the league. I don't know the league, sorry. I know the clubs individually. You know, like Farsley Celtic, we've done a pre-season friendly there when I was at Halifax. So I've been to probably 15 or 16 of the grounds already. But then Brackley, I've never known. They're coming into town with our former captain. So there's going to be interest in every game.
Brackley, there's a lot of Sorry, Phil. There's a lot of people talking about. Yeah, there's a lot of people talking about how good Brackley are this season.
I'm not going to take any one of the games for granted, Wes. Not one.
We've got 2 questions. We've got 2 questions, right? I know you don't take anything. We know that, Phil. We know you're there. The first question is slightly light-hearted. What is the 24-25 season attire going to be, Phil? Are you going to be wearing a suit again, or what's happening there?
I haven't decided yet, but I've got one or two things in mind. The chairman bought me and Macca, a pair of Oliver Sweeney's, and so I'm going to work from suede Chelsea boots up the way.
Oh, Phil, come on. Morgs will be happy with that.
I've got black suede Chelsea boots. I'm starting there and I'm working up the way. So I haven't got a Scooby-Doo.
Oh, I love that, Phil. Anyway, thank you so much. Phil, it's been absolutely amazing to get you on. Thanks for chatting with the final word today. You might remember from last time, the last question is your chance to have the final word and get the message out there to all the fans who might not have heard you answering proper questions like this. So, please, Phil, take it away.
My final word would be quite simple. Richard Lane has ploughed his money and his life into this football club, and I'm being an ambassador of that football club, being a manager now. We've got so much hard work done behind the scenes to try and replicate the passion that the supporters give us, or the passion that the supporters show. And we've done so well in the last 6 weeks, but it counts for nothing. Come the 10th of August, we'll be ready for action. And when we're ready for action, we want the supporters to be ready for action. And if we go together forward, we can only succeed.
Phil, you're amazing. Thank you so much, my friend, for that. That's brilliant.
Thank you.
Do you want us to lie about any other signings in the future? Because we can do that, Phil. If you like, if you want another car, just let us know. That's hysterical.
Dino's with coming back out of retirement. He's going to be the number 9 on Saturday.
I'm speaking to Dean soon, I hope. Fingers crossed. So that'll be great.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much for that, Phil. Anyway, that's brilliant. I won't be there, but the game is being shown on DAZN now.
Yes.
Not TNT, it's DAZN now, which is amazing. It means we'll get more sport. Would have gone, but I'm like 9 hours away, so it's a bit of a long jaunt. So probably not so much this time. But I'll see you at Radcliffe, Phil. Absolutely.
Brilliant.
I'll get you a beer, mate.
See you then. Good man.
By the way, one more thing. You said I read that you said that you were trying to find out about Amari and what the captain would be like. I'll tell you that last game of the season, last season, when we lost and we got relegated, Amari, he was looking at me because I was up in the Agra suite and he was like, "Do you need a hand walking downstairs?" I was like, "For you, yes, I do, please." And he literally carried me all the way down the stairs. And that's the kind of guy he is.
I heard the story. That's part and parcel of things, man. I'm telling you.
That's what he is.
Bracelets.
That's what he is.
Top
Phil,
man words.
yeah,
Cheers.
I'll see you on the 17th. Thanks, pal. See you soon.
You.
Goodbye, Phil. Goodbye.